Okay, so if you want to learn about fighting and martial arts, then you're going to have to learn how to block and defend and cover and all these different ways of defending, because you can't always be on the offense all the time. You've got to be on the defense too. So when it comes to guard, a guard is how you're going to guard your head or your body. So in boxing, there's different guards that you'll see, but I'll explain where the guard comes from. So basically in boxing, you're wearing a belt that goes around your waist. And the waist is about here, depending on the person, on top of your hips. And you can't punch below this belt. So when you see boxers like this, they have their hands in like this position here. The elbows are basically coming up to the belt, where the belt would be, and you only have to defend your head and your body. So that's it. Anything above the belt is what you're defending, and it's actually boom, boom. I mean, it's not that much to defend, because when you consider you don't have to defend your legs in boxing because they don't kick. But then you have something like Muay Thai, where their guard is not down here, their guard's more up here. So now you'll notice with Muay Thai is their whole body is exposed like this, right? So the guard in Muay Thai isn't really perfect either, but that's because you can get head kicks. Like when there's a risk of getting kicked in the head, the guard's going to be generally a lot higher, and you want to basically sometimes even use two hands to defend against the kick. So, but also when your guard's up here like this, you'll see their leg is always like, well, their weight's always on the back foot, and this front leg can always come up like this, right? See, where you have an opening here is where they can block that opening with their leg. So that opening is basically closed now. Boom. And this opening, basically that is one of the weak points really with Muay Thai, is because this leg comes up like this, but you always want your weight on the back foot, right? So you're always kind of prone to getting hit in that side that your weight's always on, right? So if you ever have to compete in like MMA against a Muay Thai fighter, that would be their weak point, would be whatever leg they're putting their weight on, that body right there, that side of the body is always open to like getting kicked or body shot. But in boxing, it's like they've always got they're always covering their body, so it's a lot harder to hit them, especially when they're rolling around and stuff, and you only got your hands to use. So basically, you'll also see in boxing is like the fist, they call it fisticuffs, like the old school. It looks ridiculous, but why do they have the back of their hands facing forward like that, instead of like sideways like this, or even front on, right? That's because you generate a lot of power from that extra turn of the wrist, right? It gives you a little snap. Each time you turn that wrist is where you're getting a lot of power coming from. So it's almost like karate, they do the same thing. Except in karate, their punches are coming from here, right? So you'll see a karate person might stand right back like this, and then go, watch out, right? So they're always really wide with the legs, really back with their hips, and it's because they're just waiting for that right to come up like that, right? So the power is always down here, and they teach you in karate, like, right? So a lot of the things are coming from here. It's always from there, but obviously your hips aren't obviously facing forward like this. That would be more like Wing Chun that does that. And the reason why Wing Chun does that is so they can't kick you in the balls. Fair enough? Yeah, because you can get kicked in the nuts like that. And I don't personally like that stance, even though they claim it's like for your balance or whatever, so they can't push you off guard. You're always like pushing forwards. You're the one controlling the lines and everything with Wing Chun, okay? So Wing Chun isn't completely useless. You just can't use it on its own unless you want to like take the concepts and modify it slightly. So Wing Chun, you have lines. The concept of lines is good in Wing Chun because you look at the line here, it's like one arm is a line, two lines, you center line down your body like this as well. So you're always prone to, like, if someone throws a jab, then they can always come under this line, like, you can, right? As long as you know how to, where the lines are, basically, right? So, yeah, if someone jabs like this, boom, that forms one line, but then you're also open to getting counted over it. So you can go, they can come over like this and get you in the face, or they can come under the line. So they go under it, they can go over it, but you're always kind of predicting what they're going to do, right? And that's where the concept of like trapping and stuff came from, where they just want to like get your arm right, and then grab it. As soon as they can block, they want to grab your arm instantly, like, as long as they got your arm, like, they'll grab your wrist, right? So trapping is more like a good way to just get into wrestling and stuff. So once you've actually trapped them, then you can go for a single, double leg takedown, go for your wrestling. You can even start clinching as long as you're close enough in that grappling range. But basically, back to like boxing, right? So you'll see another guard in boxing, basically where it's like Floyd Mayweather does it, but I'll go in this stance actually. So usually they tell you to keep your guard up, right, in boxing, but in this case the guard's always down. So what is the purpose of having your guard down like this? Well, it's because you don't have to defend, we don't have to keep your arm all the way up here, right? Because you've got a new way of defending. As long as this hand's always here like this, you're protecting this side of the face, and if you want to protect this side of the face, that's where you're using your shoulder rolls, where it's like you can roll the shoulder into it. And you'll see a lot of boxers do this, where they just simply roll their shoulder to protect this side of the face, right? But then you can also, you notice this part of the body is completely closed off now because your arm is always there protecting it, right? So you can roll, but you're also, this is always going to be protected. There's never an opening, right? So unless you're going for a jab, then you might create some kind of opening, right? But also, since this guard's always up like this, it's always covering this opening and that opening too. So you haven't really got any openings in boxing like this when you do it. But the problem with that is shoulder rolls are designed for boxing gloves. So boxing gloves are really big, meaning that it's easier to roll a punch when you've got big gloves on, because if you look, your shoulder doesn't come up very high, right? Your shoulder does not come up very high, so you can always get punched above the shoulder, unless you like lean back more. Like, the further you lean back, the more your shoulder's going to be like covering it. But it's not the best way to defend unless you're a boxer and you're really good at it. That's why most people wouldn't recommend that. They would say keep your guard up, because it's much easier just to go cover, cover, like boom, boom. Alright? So with covering, how do you actually cover? So you're trying to grab the back of your head like this, right? And you look, you still have a little opening there when you do cover. So you've got to make sure your elbow is up, like that. Okay? So your arm line is going to be protecting your head, like that. Right? Cover. And from there, if you got your guard up like really high like this, then you can also cover in front of you, right? So that's the benefit of doing that, is you can cover in front like that. But that's also, you have to predict what they're going to do. So there's a lot of prediction involved and reading their movements to do that. Which, when you've got like a split second to react, it's not that realistic that you're going to predict every move. You're still going to get hit a lot. So in MMA, a good thing to do is cover your head and then like do this. So what you're doing is you're covering one head, and this one just goes simply on top like that, right? And you tuck your face into this like that. It looks ridiculous, and you're still going to get hit a lot in the body, but if you just want to like get into range quickly, you can just do that, and then you can get into your wrestling and stuff. Because if you're a wrestler that doesn't want to stand and strike with someone, the first thing you want to do is just close range and wrestle straight away. And you can like try to weave and get under their punches, but it's easier to just brave the storm. Just get in there. Just get in there straight away and just wrestle, right? Or even if you just want to. Okay. So that's kind of a little bit with covering. That I think you pretty much get the point now. But then checking kicks. What's the actual purpose of? Oh, actually, hang on. I'll teach you one more thing with covering. So when you get your arm up like this, you don't have to keep it all the way up like that. In Muay Thai, they bring the elbow slightly to the side like this. And this is because if someone's gonna like hook, they're gonna like try hook a punch, all of this inside of the arm is vulnerable to the elbow, right? So they're gonna hook, and your elbow is gonna hit inside their arm, and it's just gonna cause a lot of pain and discomfort, especially when your elbow hits their arm, right? So you can like do that, put your elbow out a little bit more, or you can have your elbow close in. Sorry, elbow out or close in, right? So that's just good if someone's gonna like do hooks. But then, yeah, the checking with the kick, right? So if you have skinny legs like me, the last thing you want is shin on shin contact when you have very skinny legs like me, because your leg's gonna get probably snapped if they kick you really hard. So when you actually check, you have to understand what is a check doing. So first of all, in Muay Thai, all your weight's on your back leg for a reason. It's so someone kicks you, you can lift your leg up, and now you're already taking all the weight off your leg, and you can ride the kick out. You can ride the kick out a little bit more, or you can turn your leg into it and basically just ride it out, right? So they kick you, just turn it a little bit, and your leg should ride it out. But that's still going to hurt a lot. That's still going to kick your calf or the side, and it's going to cause swelling. It's going to get really swollen. So if you still have skinny legs, you still might not want to do that. So what you do in checking is basically, I have to show you like this, because if you lift your leg up like this, you see it's more like a right angle like that. You don't want this right angle, because that's still going to take all the impact on this bottom half here, right? So what you want is you want your leg like this. Now it's more triangular. So the reason you're doing this is so now the kick's going to be, it's also going to hit the top of your leg, not just the bottom, right? And it's going to reduce all the impact on one part of your leg. So having your leg basically like, the kick can come across here diagonally, you see? And it's just going to basically take a lot of the impact out by going to your upper thigh instead of your calf. And since you have more meat on your upper leg, it's going to probably just hurt a lot less than in your calf, right? So remember, when you check, you can do like that. Try and get it as diagonally as you can. But what you can actually do as well is you can try and like kneel into it, right? So if you can predict someone's actually gonna kick you, then you can step forwards and kind of kneel into it a bit. Because if you have your leg, I have to show you like this. If you have your leg on the outside of their leg, right? Your leg's on the outside, then you can kind of cut off their balance or their stance or whatever, right? Or what you can do, if they are going to kick you, like that, right? So chances are it's still going to hurt you a lot, but it's probably going to hurt them a lot too, right? So what you can also do with the check is try not to have your leg straight up like this. It's similar to this technique here, where your elbow comes out, but your knee is coming out too. And now what you want is you want your knee to hit the inside of their leg like this. Because when you throw a kick, right? So when you throw a kick, which I'm horrible at doing, all your inside of your leg is going to be open to a knee, right? So if you kick someone's knee and that goes in the side of your leg, it's going to hurt a lot, right? So that's probably the best way you can check is try and turn your knee into their thigh, their inner thigh, as they kick you. But if you still don't want to do that, which is, there's still a high chance of missing, you can just kick. Sounds stupid, but someone's going to like do a low kick, right? If someone's doing a low kick, you can just block with the bottom of your foot. It's like that. What you're doing is you're just kind of like trying to hit their shin with your bottom of your foot, right? And obviously that's even harder to actually get the accuracy on, but if you can kick someone's shin, it's super annoying. When you try and kick, they just kick your leg back, and then your leg's like, whoops. So that's a few ways you can check and cover and everything, and I think I explained basically most of it. So yeah, peace.